Fortune magazine or anything around money. But you also look very close to that also, by the look of your foreheads. And by the look of your eyes. And by the look of how eager I see you are in this topic on money. So, and as I start with financial stewardship, I want to give some reflections. One, as a leader. Two, as a businessman. But also number three, as a Christian. Because those three things are also very close to my heart, and especially the last one. Whatever we may do out there as leaders, as business people, so that tuelewane tukienda mbele na hii topic, I am one of the person who knows that Nyoro is nothing without the blessings of God. So when I reference many things around there, it is because it's what I believe in and I have witnessed. So when we talk about financial stewardship, the number one issue for me as a leader is that financial stewardship, so money, resources, wealth, one question is, how and from where? How do we make money? From where? And I believe that vile Biblia inasema saa ingine kuna pesa unaweza tafuta lakini inakuja na mabawa. Wewe unatafuta inaenda. I have seen firsthand that there is very deep joy in making so much money, but also making it the right way. Because whatever money you may make, which you cannot sleep at night because of how you got it, then I don't think it was worth it, even going through that process. So that issue is important as we think about money. How do we get money? Is it by changing the world to be a better place? Or is it by having us reflect as the people who should actually not be existing around other people? So that's one question. Second thing, there is something I've been thinking about, really, and I was reflecting this with another friend of mine. And I'm saying that because you guys are future leaders also, and some are current leaders. So you find that when it comes to the management of a country, people are so obsessed in making money. And making money is not a bad thing. That's why we are actually talking about it today. But we become so obsessed that there is a very thin line between being a public officer and also promoting your business using the same power that you've got bestowed unto you by the people. And then I want us to ask ourselves this question. You are elected as a member of parliament, as a governor, as even a bigger position. So your preoccupation becomes looking for money at any cost. And by the time you are elected as an MP, or even that higher position, you already have money. Maybe that's the reason why you actually ventured into it, because it's an expensive venture to a large extent. So you already have money to live off, to be comfortable. So let's reflect. What is it that, or why is it that when people get positions of leadership in public office, the preoccupation becomes looking for as much money as possible and breaking the record of the person you replaced, and in terms of making money? Why is it so? And I think the bigger problem is about inheritance. We do it because, yes, we have enough, but we are possessed with some fear within us, the leadership especially, that you ought also to make money for those who are after you, and especially in kin selection, family members. So you are actually not looking for money for you to spend. You are actually looking for money by then for your heirs to also live off and supposedly live a comfortable life. But is that usually the case? That's the reflection I want us to have. So that as you venture into leadership, you know, there is no better way of judging the future but by the past. Let's evaluate. How has the past been? Who told you that you make money so that we bequeath? You make money by especially taking public resources so that we bequeath, or you bequeath to those who come after you. I mean, what is the reasoning? Are you confirming to the world that your heirs, your offsprings, are not as intelligent as you, that they can actually make more than you? And let us reflect, all of us in this hall, those who are working. And I can attest, especially kama we sio mwanafunzi, wenye wanafanya kazi na biashara, most of us are doing better than our fathers. Most of us are doing better than our mothers, economically speaking, financially speaking. It means, for example, my father was a carpenter, living in Kiadutu slums in Thika. Now, even before I ventured into politics, in terms of whatever we owned, most of us, your net worth was already higher than your father's net worth. So it means you have actually surpassed your father. But your father was in a situation where he could not even be obsessed to look for wealth because there was no means to do that. So the point I'm driving home is that we must have a generation, all of us, that believes that the next generation may actually do better than us. So we don't need to steal for them because they'll have more of their own. Let's go back to the Bible. And I can't purport to preach when Reverend is here, because I don't want to embarrass myself. But because we are Christians here, and we are people who also read the Bible, look at the Old Testament, because when you read the Old Testament, and I've read the whole Bible myself, not once. When you read the Old Testament, you realize one thing. Part of what is called blessings is actually wealth. From Abraham, coming all the way, anywhere the name or the word blessing would appear, it actually also meant ng'ombe mingi, kondoo mingi, shamba kubwa. That time was the measure of wealth. So it's not bad to look for wealth, because many times it's actually quintessential to blessings. But let's us zoom in to the people we read, our fathers in the Old Testament. And I'll cite two to represent all others. So we read about Jacob. Jacob was whose son? Yani, Ati? Isaac. Kwa sababu mmesoma what I'm just about to say, I just want us to reflect. Was Jacob a rich man afterwards? He was a very rich man. Si mnakumbuka ile story yake na kuoa na Laban, his father-in-law. You remember that story? And as that gets me thinking, sisi wanaume wa siku hizi ni kama hata hatuumii sana tukioa. Wale walikuwa naumia mbaya. Yani unaambiwa to work for how many years? And then ukienda kumaliza unaambiwa aje? Jacob ultimately became wealthy. The father, yes, was wealthy. But the wealth we read about Jacob is not more about the inheritance, but much more about, when you read a story where, yes, Laban alikuwa anataka kumpeleka hivi, but the guy was praying. So there is a story about alikuwa analinda ng'ombe, less than a mbuzi. Na wakaenda wakameka pact na Laban about ile itakuwa na kama hii shati yangu iko na maua, hiyo ndio ya Jacob. Si mnakumbuka hiyo maneno? Then because God was on it, what happened? It was practically impossible biologically kwa hizo ng'ombe ama the cattle for them to actually bear offsprings ambazo zilikuwa zinakaa hii shati yangu, because most of them zilikuwa za rangi moja. But because God was on it, he caused hizo tu the cattle ama hao wanyama wa hiyo the same kind wakaanza to go against the biology that Laban was using kupeleka Jacob hivi hivi, na zile zilikuwa assigned kwa Jacob ndio zikaanza kuzaliwa na zikakuwa hata more. Kwani hamjasoma hiyo story? Usikae ati naongea kitu hamuelewi. Because sijui utakuwa unaniambiaje about Reverend Silas. So, can you just imagine that? Huyu ni mtu, the odds have been put against you, totally. Yani, the odds are totally against you. Unauza shamba, lakini umewekwa pahali kwenye, no one is interested in selling, in buying those shambas. But in that situation, you actually thrive more than the person with the highest advantage. So that's what happened. But this is the point. He never inherited. Purely what we read about, the genesis of his blessings, was about God being in it and about his own lifetime and the wealth that he got himself, not the one he got from the father. Read about the story of Solomon. The father was equally very rich. Who was the father? He was very rich and wealthy. But look at the story you read. He got wisdom, knowledge, understanding from. We never, if you go through, there is very little about what he inherited. It is about how he became so wealthy, but out of the blessings directed to him, not the ones he tapped from his father. Yes, there was a lineage, but if you look at Solomon and what we read, is about the money he made, not the money he was given by the father. So, I have been reflecting even about our own country. And I don't, because these are families, I will not name names. But try to look at the most prominent politicians who were here in Kenya, who held high positions and clearly took advantage of public resources. Some may actually write very good biographies and autobiographies, which is directed to you as a reader, but not exactly telling the truth. But try to reflect the ones you know. Yes, they accumulated, got so much. Oh, so that the family will live off it. And no one associated with them atapata shida. Some very big family names. In their second generation, they are already in poverty. Yet their fathers accumulated so much out of the public coffers. Some, even without naming names, have been presidents. We see their grandchildren fundraising on social media. What does that tell you? It tells you, do good when you are given a position, because it's not your business to take care of the people who come after you. The same way you get your own blessings, they will also have a direct link to God to get their own blessings. Yes, you can look for money and give inheritance. I'm not dissuading you from that. But it should not be at the expense of you taking money that was meant to build a hospital so that your kin can live off it. That's what I mean. Yes, tufanye kazi kwa bidii, but especially when we get an opportunity to serve in the public office, let's be good stewards of that money. There are two stories as I come to the conclusion of that subtopic. The Singapore we talk about has a neighbor not very far away called South Korea. Mnashika? Niko sawa hata. Jana maji. Ati mnasikia nchi gani? Hizo nchi mbili. Listen to this so that we see wherever you are serving, doing good to the country is not inadvertently, is consequently also doing good to yourself and the people who are totally associated with you who will come after you. This is what I mean. Kenya gets independence in the 1960s. South Korea starts the journey of economic development at the point where they are at the same level with Kenya. We are talking about 1960s. Now listen to this. A grandchild of Singapore, out of selfless leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, out of the selfless, dedicated leadership, which was totally devoid of patronage of taking public money for self-aggrandizement. Now, as I start before you, a Singaporean grandchild is 50 times richer than the grandparents. On average, let me repeat, a Singaporean grandchild is 50 times richer than the grandparent. I'm not talking about Lee Kuan Yew's grandchildren. I'm talking about all Singaporeans. Because their economy has gone up in terms of per capita income by 50 times. So a grandchild just being born in Singapore as a grandchild of somebody there, you are 50 times richer than your grandparent. How rich are you from your grandparent? So the point I'm trying for us to interact is this. Lee Kuan Yew did well for Singapore. If you go to Singapore, you'll not be shown farms and big, tall buildings associated with him as a person. There is only one house which he owned where he lived, which maybe you can be taken to see. You'll not see many things that are associated to him or his family. But consequently, the grandchildren of Lee Kuan Yew are 50 times richer than him, just like all other grandchildren in Singapore. Their GDP per capita, their income per capita is much larger for everyone, not just his children. So, his grandchildren do not need to live in an oasis of opulence where every other person is poor. They live in a country that is wealthy and everyone is doing well. So healthcare for them is better because healthcare for Singapore is better. Transportation for them is better because for everyone it's better. Education there is better, just like for everyone is better. And therefore their life expectancy is even higher because for everyone is higher. Doing good to the country, consequently, he also did good for his own grandchildren. The same case for South Korea. South Korean grandchild is 4,000% richer than the grandparent. So 40 times again. 4,000% is 40 times. That's a South Korean going about their business, working for Samsung, working for Hyundai, doing their business, doing whatever they are doing. A grandchild is 40 times richer than the grandparent. Not an oasis of General Park, who did very well for the economy, but everyone in South Korea. So the grandchildren do not need to live in a place where they have built high fences. Every other person is like them, 40 times richer than the last generation. So we must cultivate ourselves, all of us in this hall, wherever we are serving. You are an engineer somewhere. You are building your 27th flat in this Nairobi. Who are you building for? Yes, continue building if you are building it the right way. But you are an engineer. Your father never needed to be an engineer for you to be one. So your son can be governor, which is even higher than the engineer you are, for example. So what I mean is, we don't need to be obsessed by accumulating ati tunaaccumulatea watu wengine. Accumulate, yes, in the way through production as you work. But you don't need to kupita na hii speaker, na hii microphone, hata hii maua unapita nayo. At you are accumulating. For who? The people you are accumulating for will not even have the speaker. They will own the company that produces the speakers. Entrepreneurship. is where I am now. That's the second thing. And I'll give you a short story. Short story of mtu fulani akagraduate hapa KU. Mnajua KUCC? Akafanya graduation bash hapo KUCC. Because alikuwa amepata tu pesa. Unajua alikuwa student leader, anafanya biashara. So akona tu pesa ya kufanya graduation bash KUCC. So the parents came. Vile tunafanya graduation, kila mtu anatoka shags na mna course jam hapa hivi Thika Road. So parents wakaenda hapo KUCC to celebrate the graduation of their son. Then the son takes up the mic and tells the parents and the friends, "You go pray for me not to get a job. Mkienda nyumbani muniombee sana ndio nisipate kazi." I'm talking about myself. When I graduated hapa KU, maadhe wakakama hapo. Najua parents wanajifungulia mapema kule shags. Na wakuja na marafiki. Na unajua graduation inakuanga kama Thursday, Friday hivi. So that hiyo Sunday, pia your mother at the church. Say, "I just came from Nairobi." My son Otieno was graduating. He's now an engineer. So, they come, at your mother anataka aende church Sunday kusema, kijana yake aligraduate. Na ana time, within a few months, bado ataenda chama, aseme, "You know my son Cyrus now is an engineer with Safaricom." There's no parent mwenye hapendi hiyo. My daughter works with the Equity Bank. He's now working with Microsoft. My son is now working with Meta. Atajua hata Meta ni nini. Facha Facebook. Ndio aulizwe Meta nini, aseme, "You know the owners of Facebook." That's where my son works. Si kila mtu anapenda hiyo. Mimi nikafanya hesabu nikaona nilikuwa na goals mbili. Moja ni kutajirika. Ya pili ni siasa. Okay, ya pili is to be a leader. I'm just trying to be diplomatic. To be diplomatic. So, wazazi wakakam. Mimi nikawaambia, unajua ukigraduate you are the chief guest. Watu wengine wakiongea, tumesomesha Wafula na shida mingi sana. Hata high school mnajua aliachwa na fees balance kubwa. Vile hata baba yake alifutwa kazi, mzigo ikakuwa yangu kama mama yake. Na mzee pia anasema, "I knew this boy is bright like me." So, nikafanya hesabu nikaona, history yote ati my son works with Safaricom, my son works with Meta. Nikaanza kujiuliza, hii Meta wale yanyianza wazazi wake wanasemaga nini? Why can't we elevate this discussion there? Instead of works there, we elevate it owns. Na nikafanya hesabu nikaona hii safari ya kutajirika. Hebu tufanye hesabu kwa mind. Unajua nyinyi werevu hata hakuna haja ya kumwambia mtoe simu. Nyinyi already yuko kwa akili yenu. Umepata kazi kama fresh graduate. Utalipa pesa ngapi ukipata job saa hii? Yaani umeangukia, umetoka KU direct. Umekuwa branch manager wa bank hii ya Unicity. Utalipa pesa ngapi? How much? Yeah? Gapi? Pana manager. Sisemi, nasema yani umeangukia. Yani wewe unatoka tu hivi kama fresh graduate umekuwa branch manager. Mpaka classmates wanakuja wanauliza, "Kwani nimepotea?" Wakikupata ati wanaambiwa head office ya manager. wanapata ni Griffins. Wanamuuliza, Griffins unafagia hapa ama ni nini? Unawambia, no, I'm the manager. So ukiwa manager ni pesa ngapi? Tuseme 200, sio? 200. Tuseme hata hujaelevate maisha sana, unakaa hapa tu around. Kwenye tu tulikaa after KU, unakaa KM ama hapa? Everyone starts there, even me. Tulianza hapo sisi wote. Haya. So hujaanza kujifanya manager ati unahamahama. Bado unalive kama comrade, si ndio? So unalipa rent ya how much? Unalipa 70 kwani aje? Yaani nyinyi comrade wa siku hizi mnalipa rent ya 70k. Hiyo ilikuwa rent yetu sijui ya hori ama ni nini. So let's say tuseme unalipa mshahara ya 200,000. Okay, let's be honest with each other. Una matarajio nyumbani, utume kitu because anyway umepata job bank. So hauna option na hauna reasons ya kusema sijui nini. You are the branch manager. So unasaidia your sister kidogo, home kidogo, unalipa rent, unakula juu si lazima ukule lunch kama manager. Tuseme hata hujanunua gari, bado unajikaza tu ile kikomrade. So tuseme una save a whooping 100,000. Una save yote ya 100,000 every month. Una save 100k. So mwaka hiyo ni pesa ngapi? 1.2 million. Miaka 10 hiyo ni pesa ngapi? 12. Mtu hu graduate akiwa miaka ngapi? 24. Na wenye wali repeat class 8, 25. Na kuna wale kwanza wana repeat wakifuata form 4 wana repeat form 3. So huyo na graduate at 26. I can see you here. We see you. So haya, miaka 10 uko how old? Na uko na pesa gapi? Haya, after 15 years, hiyo ni pesa gapi? Hebu fanya, hiyo inahitaji simu. Sidhani AI imefika hapo. 15 years, utakuwa umesave how much? Kuna kitu inaitwa ceteris paribus. Holding all other factors constant. So usiseme ati mshahara inaongezewa, tunajua. Lakini vile unaongezewa hata value ya pesa inapotea. Si unajua inflation. So tumelock time. Tumelock time because ukiongezewa mshahara hata rent ishaenda juu. So umesave how much after 15 years? 18, si ndio? Ama ni 15? 18. So uko how old? 40, sio? So umesave 18 million. Sasa hata ndio unatokea kwa raia sasa, juu you've been working ndio unatokea kuuliza huku kuna idaga aje sasa. You've been working all through. So ukitokea na ka briefcase yako ya 18 million, very rich, you are 40. Sio? Sasa ukuje kutafuta proti. Uende hapa kwa sukari, proti ni pesa gapi? Kuota hapa kwa sukari ni how much? 14, 15, si ndio? Hiyo ni poa juu utabaki na 3 million So kwa hiyo pesa hujanunua gari I hope unajua hivyo. Yaani wewe ni wale watu walikuwa kama sisi, watu wa kusave pesa mpaka sijui namna gani. So you have a protein kawa sukari na umenunua gari ya 3 million. Na pesa imeisha. Sasa tuko hapo na uko 40. So tuanza now from there. So kwanza ulikaza hata kuoa. Juu sasa sawa, mwenye anataka kuoa inue mkono juu, lakini saving yake tuiondoe 100k tuipeleke 50. So miaka sio 40, sasa ni 55. Sawa. Haya, wewe uko na bibi, tumekupea heshima. Lakini 18 milioni yako inafika ukiwa 55. Sasa ndio unatokea kwa raia. Ukakuja hapa sukari, mnauza ploti namna gani hapa? 15. You want it in cash or can I deposit in your bank? Either unampea na briefcase. Then you realize pesa imebaki kwa briefcase. Unaweza iweka huku kwa koti na ishe. So hata ile briefcase unampea. So unaenda pale Mombasa Road, Kiambu Road. Lazima ununue gari sasa ya 3 million. Hiyo ni gari gani sasa? X5 ya 3 million ilikuwa ni ya salvage. Ama wewe ni dealer. Aya, unanunua gari gani ya 3 million? Premium ndio ipaki kidogo ya mafuta kustabilize namna hiyo. Ndio pia ununue leather ya kuwekelea kwa viti. Na ununue ile kakitu watu weka hapa kwa kakioka kuswing ukiwa kwa gari. So pesa imeisha. So umekuja na premium, ploti yako iko pale Taveta Road kwa sukari, ama pale Murang'a Road, Masabit Road hapa sukari, na umepark. You are 40. You have a car, you have a plot. Briefcase haina kitu, imeisha. That is the nature of employment. That is the nature. Even if you drive the car next day, it's okay, but it will be on loan. So you'll be paying it even more costly than ile tumenunua Kiambu Road saa hii. So nikaona hii hesabu mimi kwangu haigiani. Juu mimi nataka hii dunia either I make it ama hii dunia tuvujavuje tu. So nikaona hii story ya kuajiriwa hapa mimi hata nijitoe. Why? Unajua kuna vitu tulikuwa tunaita elimination method. Elimination method inatumika kwa njia yote. Usijifanye hamjui, hata kwa answer ya exam, hata ukidate kuna elimination method. Si ndio? Mtu anaongea sana mwenye shout. Hey, that guy was shouting to us in that forum. Kwani anafikiria yeye nani anatushautia hivyo? Kuna watu hawapendi kushout nini? So kuna elimination method. Nilikuwa nasema nini? Ndio nileta hiyo story ya elimination. Elimination method. Nikaona kuna pahali pale inaitwa kutajirika. Na iona iko pale. Na sasa niko hapa. Nikaanza elimination method. From here to there naona kuna mto na ni kubwa. So hapa nitavuka mguu? Hapana. Hata gari haivuki. Inataka either ferry ana canoe ama nijenge daraja. So unaenda ukieliminate from here to there. One of the routes nikaona from me na wealth pale. One of the ways I eliminated very fast is to get a job. But you think that is the easiest. That's what you all think. Because you are looking for a job, I can see. And because you want it so much, you just want a job. Kwanza ni stabilize kidogo. You know you can't just graduate and have uanze biashara. You know, anatuambia history yote. You need capital. Sawa, hata si tulikuwa hivyo. Nikigraduate KU, sinakaa hapa kawa wedani hapa. 2 rooms. Sio 2 bedroom, 2 rooms. Ile washroom ziko nje. Nikaweka kasaiba. Because niliona wacha ningangane huku kabla macho ifunguke, because one of the ways nimeona hii story yangu sifiki pale ni employment. Kungangana. So I'm telling you this. If you have an ambition to get wealthy and you still have an ambition to get rich, to get a job, you are confused. Choose one of them. Because 2 are mutually exclusive. How will you know I did economics? Si lazima ni drop kitu kama hiyo. Unajua mutually exclusive ni nini? Yaani venye nimesimama hapa na wewe siwezi simama hapa. Yaani one has to give way for the next. There is no you can still get a job and get wealthy at the same time. one of the two has to give way. What you do with that information is up to you. So, si ati ni hizi, niliumia sana. Juu unaona, jamaa mlikuwa na yeye amepata job PWC. John amepata job Equity. Mary, classmate wako mwenye alikuwa kwanza ni wewe unamuonyesha statistics. Amepata kazi Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Sasa unashangaa kama ni mimi nilikuwa namuonyesha statistics na amepata kazi Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Si hii Kenya Bureau of Statistics ikuwe yangu basi. So unakaa kila mtu darasa yenu. Mnapatana, huyu ana drive, this one became a teacher, this one is a lecturer in a private college. They are driving. Unagoja math. Those temporal wins must never confuse you. Those temporal wins. Temporal, they have temporal. Because ukianza biashara ni kama kutafuta spring. Wewe, kwetu tunasema oraruti ya diti. Yani, unaona venye tunasemaga, on your marks, get set. Have you ever asked yourself, bona hatuambiagi on your marks kama tumekaa hivi? Kila time lazima ukae hivi. Si unatafuta nguvu ya kukupush mbele. So, hizo tumashida unapata hapo ukitafuta job na usha graduate na haipatikani is the same hiyo ya on your marks. Unatafuta nguvu huwa inakurusha mwenye alikuwa anakuambia amefanya job bank nini, kwanza unaendaga hiyo bank ya your classmate after mambo imekuwa sawa. Unamwambia hebu niangalilie balance. Unaona your former classmate na kuangalia hivi. Am I looking at the wrong account? Na sasa hiyo hata hutaki pesa unaenda tu. Hiyo absa, your classmate anafanya job. 3 years after you graduated, yeye alipata the first year after graduation. Wewe ukangangana, kabiashara yako ya IT kameanza kuigiana. So unaenda hiyo bank, hata kama line imekufikia. Unajua venye unapaga line bank na kuna cubicles. Imekufikia lakini unaona hauendi kwa your classmate, unaambia mwenye ako nyuma, please pass. Unaenda, habari gani? You got a job here? I just wanted to check my balance. Then anashangaa, what's up? So, what am I trying to say? Getting a job and getting wealthy. Those are two parallel statements. Choose one, not both. They are parallel. Haya. Then what do you look at? I just give a few points. Sasa sitakuwa na story mingi. Unajua hizi story ndio pia tukiwa comrade ilifanya tupate kura. So ungeenda tu naambia comrade power, please vote for me. Ulikuwa unaanza hivi. Yeah, we just need to press the admin. We want mess. Chakula ikuwe inajaa vizuri na tunalipa pesa kidogo. So, msinilaumu hizi tu story mingi. So, ukifanya hiyo story nimesema, kitu ya kwanza, interest yako ni nini? Ni hiyo. You know me, I was born an artist. Me, I am just born an actor. I'm very good in this. Sawa, tumekubali mtu wangu. But, history ya biashara, differentiate between interests, hobbies, and commerciability. Those 3 things. You rarely get money, make money out of your hobby. Rarely. You rarely make money out of your hobby. So hobby yako ni yako. Wewe sasa tumesikia. Uko na hobby na tunaheshimu. Lakini sasa fanya hesabu. Whatever you are selling, if it's not commercialable, so to say, if you cannot make it a product for people to see value in paying you, to give you it, then wewe weka hiyo hobby kado, sasa tafuta biashara. So don't confuse those things. Yes, we love and doing what we love, okay, fine. Even me. Everyone. But, hapa kwa biashara, money is not subjective, money is objective. Money does not listen to the heart, money listens to the mind. So, engage your mind on the business you want to do. Can I commercialize this product? Can I commercialize whatever it is that I want to do? So if you see your hobby is not aligned, you can still have your hobby and your business. You have that capacity. It's not a must you combine both of them to be one thing. Second thing, whatever business mi nataka kuanza, can I scale it? Naweza ikuza. Can it become bigger than me? So that, can I even have a bigger market? Our brothers and sisters who I saw their companies here as sponsors. Whatever it is you are doing, wewe unatengenezaga hii pot ya ua. But you only use your hands. So the only way to scale it is to employ more hands. Okay, it's a good business, it's fine because we need pots. But see whether you can actually make so much money out of it. Because if it's a hands that you are using, na umeniajiri kutengeneza na mkono. So who am I ati nishajua kutengeneza nikae tu hapo kwako? Nitaweka tu hapo kado ya kwako na mimi nianze biashara yangu. Because there's no scalability. You making this pot 1 or 10 of them, the cost is the same. Scalability, what it does, it embeds economies of scale. Anything you cannot embed economies of scale, it means its scalability is not an advantage. But many times you also confuse that. I'm a doctor, you cannot scale kuona patients. Because only 2 eyes, 2 hearts, and 1 mind can see a patient at a time, is it? Wewe ni doctor. I'm a dentist. Hata kama ulipata first class as a dentist, kukuja watu 10 kwa your practice. Unaweza sema wewe ulipata first class, unawatoa meno wote 10. Is it possible? Sio possible. Law, you are a lawyer. How many unaweza enda mbele ya judge wagapi at any given time? But many times you also confuse that we can't scale these businesses. These are businesses that you can also scale. So don't confine yourself. My career is not scalable. It is scalable. In fact, if you go to the US, there is a law firm called Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is a law practice. Law. Sharia. Because he was able to scale, you just need a formula. You don't need to be the one doing it. Scalability means other lawyers can also be part of your Morgan & Morgan. That guy is now worth 1.6 billion US dollars. A lawyer. There is a dentist, in fact, I'll give you the name, called Rick Wackman. He's a dentist. What did he do? Alianza kampuni inaitwa Heartland Dental. Akaona dentistry, there are some processes that are similar. So he was able to come up with standards, with charges. Can you imagine this? A dentist practice, ikompaka na private equity funds, other investors. But the founder, who you Workman, is worth 1.5 billion US dollars. A dentist. So whatever it is that you do, everything can be scaled. Everything can be scaled. But you also look at, there are things that are actually more scalable than others. Because if you are Mark Zuckerberg, his platforms are much more scalable than you can scale the 2 I've given. Yes, we need all of them for the world to function properly. But who told you your work here on earth is to make the world function? Your work is to make money. Let the other one make money. Mpatane kwa uwaja. The world will sort itself. I'm sure you've gotten those people who tell you, me, I just wanted to do medicine. I'm very sympathetic. Me, I just love this. Hii dunia nani alikupea hiyo kazi? We are talking about money. So me, I'm not talking about those other things. Those considerations, there are better people to speak about them. Me, I'm talking about money. Haya. Ukifanya hiyo biashara, dunia inaenda wapi? Hiyo ni point number 3. Where is the world going? You may be busy building a factory for typewriters. The product you are coming up with, the world left you long time ago. I don't know where you are, unless you go back in time to sell your products. Maybe you can get a train ticket to take you back in time. I don't know where those tickets are found. So be in tandem with time in terms of the products you are coming up with. The other thing, dynamism. In everyone, hata mwenye akona biashara hapa. This is even more to the people who've already in business. Businesses are always dynamic. You'll be surprised. The big companies are no longer manufacturing or offering the services they were offering when they got started. Unless you are a food company like Coca-Cola. Food never have a lot of variations. A lot of technology is in the process, not the product. Coca-Cola hiyo ya kitambo yenye Maguka was taking is the same way I'm taking. Food industry is okay. Let's reserve it. All the others, you realize companies, a company called Nokia still exists. I know you don't think so. Because you just thought Nokia is about phones. Nokia is making a lot of profit nowadays. But you actually don't even know what they do. Because it's so technical. You don't even care. Their clients is not me and you. Their client is Safaricom, Airtel, and the rest. What they do, tusiende hapo, tutachoka mapema na nasikia kuna chai after this. If you look at a company like Equity, our own parents, wakijua Equity, walikuwa naenda, wanakaa hapo kwa queue. Nowadays, when is the last time you were in a bank? You don't even remember. It's not that you don't have a bank account. This is your bank. Do you know Safaricom revenues? If you study their financial statements, Safaricom tulikuwa tunajua ni ya habari, hello. Then, after that, SMS. Check their revenues. How much money is coming from your phone call and from SMSs? The company metamorphosized. That business you are in can get the same trajectory. This is what happens in business. If you look at the Forbes list, majority of the top 20 is first generation money. First generation money meaning new products. The world, by the way, I think, Cyrus, you did very well to invite me today. No wonder the other prior dates never worked. Because I'm coming here today to speak to you about money when the world has set a history today of having the first trillionaire ever, called Elon Musk. Tumpigie makofi hata kama. Sisemi 1 trillion ya Kenya. Naweza anza kusema trillion ufikiria na mambo ya national debt. Mumenizoea na hiyo story sana. Hata hamuskini nini, nasema Elon Musk na nyinyi mnafikiria naongea mambo ya national debt. He's the first trillionaire ever. First trillionaire ever. I know you watched yesterday's game. And I know majority of you were from Mexico. I know. Me, I was for South Africa because Africa is always our business. But Elon Musk was born in South Africa. Can you imagine that? Out of a South African father and a Canadian mother. Went to the US today. First trillionaire ever. Si pesa ya Kenya. Ukitaka ikuwe ya Kenya weka times 130. Meaning 1% of his money can pay the entire deficit in our budget. Ikuwe sasa Kenya, hii budget ya sahi hatukopi. 1%, I mean, umeenda shop na mia, naongea mambo ya hiyo shilingi moja tu ndio ikuwe 99. So it's scratching the surface. Look at his businesses. Tesla nyinyi mnafikiria ni kampuni ya magari. Yeye haoni magari, yeye anaona technology. Because these people are clear-minded, businesses are dynamic. But the point was this: all the top 20 list of Forbes, first generation money, so meaning new ideas. Yeye sio hata one idea. Sasa zingine wachane, guys. Hebu tuweke siasa kando kama wa Kenya, kwanza tufikirie hii story leo. Unajua saa ingine tunapenda siasa sana, which is good because we are shaping our country. Hebu kwanza tuache siasa pale nje. Mumekimbia nje, mumeacha hapo. Sasa tumerudi Hebu chukua huyu jamaa. He's the CEO of Tesla. Tesla, a brand known worldwide. He's the CTO, I don't know what, CFO, I'm a CEO or whatever, of the company that was listed today called SpaceX. What is he doing? At taking people to Mars. Ati akona over 8,000 satellites zina supply internet pahali kwingi duniani. Akona kampuni ingine inaitwa Boring Company. Ati goal yake ni atengeneze kama kitunnel from here to Mombasa, huku unafika Mombasa like in a flash. Huyu mtu akonomo. Listen to the fourth one, called Nyoro. When you read these guys, you actually realize we need to think bigger. We need to break some kasiring in it to block up hivi. Ati Nyoro ni nini? Ati making chips, tukue tunawekwa kwa akili, tuna coordinate na computer. Kampuni already valued at many billions US dollars. Already. This guy is the main actor in all those companies. Main actor. I'm not saying an investor. Ndiye alizianza. Hii PayPal mnatuma nayo pesa, ilikuwa some of his companies akianza. Na akina Peter DL. PayPal. Now that technology is so archaic for him. Mars is better. The Mars. Ati goal yake, ati we go to colonize Mars. Colonize Mars. Na tutafute, sasa rockets zinapeleka watu every day Mars. Atuambie fare ni gapi haraka haraka. Naona kuna Wakenya wengi sana wanataka kupotea waende Mars. Huko hakuna housing levy. So, ebu siendelei kabla mfikirie. Ebu fikiria just you now, at your biggest worry as here, sijalipa rent. That's your biggest worry. You're gonna exam Friday. Hata si next Friday are the next 2 Fridays, ndio una worry uko na exam. Kwanza ni exam ya nini? Story 2 hapo, theoretical 2 hapo. History. Hiyo ndio inakupea stress. Kuna jamaa hapa analala 4 hours a day. Akona Tesla. Hata ikitengenezwa kioo lazima pass because aesthetics ikuwe mzuri, technology. Anapeleka watu Mars. Boring Company, Neuralink. You know what, hatuhesabu X, hii Twitter, hiyo ni others. Don't you think, guys, we need to break some casing in to block up? Ukienda majamaa wa pili ni wale wa Google. First generation money, meaning hii kitu 30 years ago, Google ilikuwa wapi? There was nothing. Jamaa tu came up. Now, number 2 and 3 ni hao. Jamaa mwingine anaitwa Larry Page. Kama hata hatujajua kompyuta ni nini, ako kwa ma softwares. Kampuni mingi tunatumia huku, hata university, bank, stock broking, Oracle. So, at least huyo, na wote sijui ni nini wako na kakichwa ngumu kiasi. Kama huyo amenunua whole island. Hawaii. Si Juba. Island. So, ati huko ndio nyumbani. Sani yake, ndiye alikuwa ananunua, walikuwa wana bid to buy Warner Brothers pamoja na Netflix. Because the son is the owner of Paramount. When I think about those things, ladies and gentlemen, I actually also think we need to change some thinking. As we also push our leaders to do their best in politics, we also devote a lot of time in thinking about things. Unaendelea hapo, yule mtu unapata mzee ni Warren Buffett. Yeye ni investments. Lakini si ya inheritance, first generation. Hiyo inakwambia about versatility ya biashara. The reason why most of the richest people on Forbes list are a first generation, it tells you zile ideas za kitabu haziko hapo. It means there is something called constructive destruction. Najua hamuandiki notes, lakini andikeni hiyo, unaweza tisha mtu nayo. Constructive destruction. There is a technology that comes to disrupt so much, inaondoa vitu analog, inaipeleka bali, inazirusha. Because this other one is more superior, even for us as human beings. Take for example time to remove from analog TV to digital. Tukaleta shida. ICT minister then was Matiang'i. Kasema hapana, lazima tuende digital. Tukasema hapana, sisi hatuendi. Do you see sometimes the things we resist? Sasa juu tulikuwa tunakataa analog, si uende ununue TV analog basi. Watch nayo leo bolo ya leo ya US. Utakuwa unaona mchezaji pale anakaa hii maua. You don't recognize hawa ni wa US na hawa ni hawa wengine by the color. Unaona moja inakaa maua, lakini hii ingine inakaa bump ya barabara. This business you do as a hardware is supposed to give you in-depth knowledge about the products you deal with. It's not supposed for you to remain there as a hardware. It is supposed to give you some insights so that you do backward, forward, vertical, horizontal integration. Ulianza hardware 20 years ago. Na ni hiyo tu hardware. It means beyond money, you are not learning much. So, do something around the things you deal with. The knowledge you've gained is so important. It should be making you more money. Unaona Safaricom wenye wanafanya? Wanaona tunaenda, sasa hatutumii kukall sana, ndio hiyo M-Pesa. M-Pesa inaenda. Tukienda hivi sijui lipa na M-Pesa. Ikienda hivyo tena, sasa watakuja I'm sure next ni kutap. Kama bado haiko, itakuwa naenda super. Wataona tunasumbuka sana kuweka pin. Maziwa nini, unatap tu unaenda zako. Safaricom. Hiyo kutap. Pale kwao pesa inajihesabu. Efficiency, metamorphosis, versatility, dynamism. That's the nature of business. Even the one you are doing. Don't say, me I'm in property business. Kujenga hoteli, watu wanakuja wanakaa. No, it's okay to do that. Maybe you can do more than that. You know, a country like Finland ndio ya Nokia, ndio ya Nokia. Mnajua kutengeneza machinery, hiyo story ilitokea wapi? Ilikuwa nchi based on forestry, kukata miti. So they needed, sasa wamekata miti sana na axe. So they needed another technology ya kukata miti. Machinery came za kukata miti. So out of that machinery, there is something called complexity in an economy. Wakakuwa sasa more inclined towards machinery za kukata miti. Out of that machinery and out of progress ya hizo machinery, ndio sasa waka move to technology. Metamorphosis all the time. Hizi kampuni zote nimetaja hata ziko Forbes. There is none that is doing only the reason why it was created. Even Walmart. Sisi tunajua Walmart, yes, it's a family business. It's the second generation now and that generation. Sam Walton alikuwa na shop kama hii iko hapa. Kama hii Quickmart iko hapa hivi. Sahi ni Amazon within Walmart. But even beyond that, another disruptor called Amazon came. Now it's even ahead of the Walmart itself. A startup. Every time when businesses do not learn to be dynamic, hii dunia hakuna mtu anakupepereza. Kuna tokeaga kamjamaa, kanaanza startup, kana kurudisha geshagi. Building sustainable wealth. That's the last subtopic. So, what is the space of active and passive business or investment? We need money to make money. Can you just think about that paradox? Ati mtu anakwambia ati you need money to make money. Where will I get the money to make the money? You know that story of a chicken and an egg? So, nauliza mtu, how can I invest? By investing money. Where do I get the money? You get money when you have money. So where do I get this money that makes the money? So of course all the time we start with active. That's the money that makes the money. You can't just wake up and say, mimi naanza investments leo. Okay, so what are you investing? You need to be active to at least make the money to make the money. Higher. That is what I was talking about entrepreneurship hapo juu. So Miss Rudi. So passive. The beauty about investments, hii ni kitu naonaga tuko na a lot of advantage. Me, I don't even need to know. Hizo stories zote za SpaceX. Acha jamaa mwingine aende apate headache. Launch rockets, zingine zina bust. Launch zingine ana make loss. Mimi nakutegea tu hapa kwa investment. Nawekelea tu hapo. SpaceX hata nikiwa na share bili, mimi nisiniona wa SpaceX. Na mimi I don't need to atikuji stress. Uko na share ya Kengen. Na the last time ulifanya hydro, hizo vitu za hydro ni ukiwa high school venye tunaendaga trips kuona hydro dams. That's the best engineering you have. But uko na share ya Kengen. Wacha jamaa mwingine ajisort. Uko na share za Equity. Non-performing loans, kuna watu hawalipi loans. Tunataka kwenda Kongo na hata huko tunasikia kuna Ebola. Fine. Let somebody else do that work. Wewe unaenda hapa NSC, wewe unawekelea. That is one thing I like about investments. That it gives you an opportunity to share in the success of the genius of others. Elon Musk wacha yeye amuke saa 9. Afikiria vile Tesla itakuwa sijui cheap ama nini. Wewe amuka saa 2 nunua shares zake. Yes, baby atakuwa mrich kukuliko, lakini hatakuacha sana. Kukiitwa mikutano mtakuwa mnakaa tu. Hata kama uko stand row, mtakuwa in the same hall. So beyond the founder, beyond the active, the opportunity to invest in other people's hard work, ingenuity, genius is the most profound thing that I love about investments. And that is the reason why in this forum I will not talk to you about investing land, shamba. Because what have you done about the land? Unless you show me one factory that is manufacturing land, then I will take you serious. Uniambie kuna kampuni imewekwa Syokimau, kazi yake inatengeneza shamba. Lakini kama tu ni hii iliubwa na tukaipata. So what have you done to it? Nothing. So there's nothing you can do to it if there's nothing you have done to it. The much you can do is to build what? A house. Okay, what have you built in that house? Mawe umetoa wapi? Darugo. Umeimanufacture? Hapana, umefanya nini? Kukata tu. Na mchanga ulitoa wapi? Kwa mto. Ulitengeneza mchanga wewe wapi na mashini gani? Oh, now cement. Oh, cement, eh? Inatengenezwa na nini? Limestone, clinker. Zinatoka wapi? Kuchimba tu. Do you know sometimes it's so humbling to realize that us human beings are so limited. We think we know so many things. Lakini, when you think about Hifrat, iko hapa next. Shamba, no one manufactured it. Tulipata. Mawe imejenga, tuliendea tu darugo tukakata. Mchanga iliendewa kwa mto. Cement ilichimbwa limestone na clinker. Iron sheet. Najua mnataka kuniambia na mabati ilitoka wapi? I don't know ilitoka wapi. Sometimes I think about those things and I realize there is absolutely nothing for a human being to be arrogant about. We know so little. Can you imagine? Hiyo miaka yote tumeishi, hakuna mtu hivi moja amejua to manufacture just one brick. The much we do ni kumix vitu ama kukata. Kwa mjengo mzima ile nyumba yako unaishi. Everything in that house. Spoon. Hiyo ni nini? Ilitoka wapi? Carpet. Guo. Cotton. Cotton ni nini? Do you realize everything in your house is only two things? Either a plant or a mineral. Mineral mafuta ikiwa hapo. Can you try to check in your entire existence, in your office and in your house? Is either something that you can trace to a plant or something you can trace into a mineral? Anyway, those are besides the point. Nilikuwa tunataka hiyo ikuwe break. Because I realized the other things zilikuwa zinawakalia kidogo. Kwanza hapo kwa Nyoro ikiwekwa kitu hapa niliona hiyo story hamtaki. So investments. That's why I'm not talking about land. I'm neither talking about buying government bonds and bills. And I'm not talking about fixing money in the bank. Because what's that? That is the basic level of thinking. That's the lowest as an investor. Yani, wakati mwenye you don't want your brain to get tired at all. Those are the options you take. You don't need to think, I'm guaranteed. I'm buying a government bond. Kabla government default, hata Kenya maybe haitakuwa. So mimi sitaki kujisumbua akili, chukueni hii milioni yangu, si ati mnanipea 12%, ni sawa. We must think beyond the ordinary. Even what I'm telling you is not very extraordinary. Niko tu hapa hivi, but at least ni better. Shares, investing in companies. Me, that's what I really advocate for. Next time in a seminar like this, you can call sasa wale watu wa fixing, na boards, na treasury bills, and I promise I'll not come to disrupt them. Because I'm sharing my opinion. Why? Because as I said, what is a company? Capital, technology, entrepreneurship. Nowadays, those are the major ones. So mnakumbuka tukisoma business kwa high school tulikuwa tunazita what of business? Factors of business. Land, labor, capital. The fourth one, entrepreneurship. I am hoping our syllabus changed. I hope you are not teaching high school at least these factors of production. Which lad is Zuckerberg using? Which lad is a factor of production? So, the reason I see investing in a business is something profound. I'm investing in capital that is already deployed and has proven to be working. I am investing in technology which does not need to be through my head. Hata physics hukupita vizuri. Meaning it's a story of technology wewe hauko. An opportunity is provided to you to invest in the highest level of physics. Somebody else is anasubuka akili huko. Entrepreneurship. Maybe, I don't know whether there are those kind of people. Maybe you console yourself. Yes, you talked about not getting a job, but who will end up working in this company? You know the way we rationalize in this kind of a talk. Yes, aliongea vizuri, lakini hizi kampuni nani atafanya kazi? Hiyo kazi nani alikupea? So what I'm saying is, if you console yourself that way, then an opportunity is given to you to invest in other people's entrepreneurship mind through investing in a business. Those three things to me are very important. Capital has been proven to be working. Because by the time you're investing in a company that is a going concern, by the time you have one Safaricom, there are other 6 Safaricom that collapsed, which you never came to know. By the time you are having one Tesla, like BYD, the one for China, BYD is a winner in the electric vehicles in China. Tens of BYDs in quotes collapsed for BYD to be what it is. Because it was a race of competition. So, investment gives you an opportunity not to lose your money in the other BYDs that collapsed, because you just go to the BYD that worked. And then, it eliminates from you the founders who were frivolous. This founder started yake ikazama, huyu wakaanza yake haikuwa na soko, huyu wakaanza akakula pesa. The market sorted that for you. Eliminated all that, presented to you the BYD that worked. That is why I invest in companies. Then you do research, because there are many that are listed. Just imagine how profoundly advantageous this is. Unapewa opportunity. By the time unaanza weka hardware hapa, inaendelea vizuri hapa. Kuna watu kama 10 umeweka wakifunga. By the time unaweka biashara ya kuuza miti pale bypass, pale Kamakis, kuna watu wameuza miti hapo ikakauka wakaenda. You has worked. So dunia eliminate hizo zote, imekupresentia the ideas that worked. And even within those, because you are the investor, bado uko na maringo. Okay, kuna 60 companies listed in the NSC. So by the time they are listed, it means they are the winners. Kuna mingi zimeanguka in the same sectors. But you are still having a choice. Out of the 60, I want to go for the best. That is the kind of opportunity investments give you. So you check the companies. I want to highlight 2 things. You need to check when you are buying companies. And me, I'm talking about the ones that are listed. Public companies. Zinaitwa PLC. Publicly listed companies. Unaangalia sector. Sector gani hapa inafanya biashara mzuri? Unaangalia finance, hata hakuna finance, banking, insurance, agriculturals, with your phone. Zile vitu zote unajua, huwa una browse Facebook hivi for 30 minutes. Ukiulizwa na mtu, wewe kati simu chini, this is a piece of paper, write what you are scrolling. If you have all that time to scroll Facebook and you actually can't write one sentence after 30 minutes of scrolling, then get some time to actually Google about some investments. Check investments. Check the companies listed in the NSC. You can ask Google anything. Siku hizi juu ya Gemini yao wanakupea ile washa kufanyia AI, wanakupea yani chakula wewe ni kumeza tu. Yani mtu ameenda amewinda ng'ombe akaichija akaichoma akakukatakatatia, you went even further, akakutavunia anakupea tu umeze. Mimi naona hapa ni wengi tulifanywa hiyo madizi na wazazi wetu. Hiyo kutahuniwa madizi. No wonder you are so intelligent. Like your fathers and your mothers. So, you check the sector. Only two things I'll tell you me what I use mostly when I'm investing in shares. I look at something called, I keep talking about it. I hope you will not nickname me those two things. One thing is called PE ratio. Price over earning ratio. And I'll repeat this thing to you until you all do it. To be honest, me, I don't want to make money out of NSC alone. I don't. And I'm honest and I'm serious. I don't want to make money out of the Nairobi Securities Exchange alone. Because there are opportunities of hugely undervalued companies. Companies that you are buying for a fraction of what its worth is. So, PE ratio measures what? If you bought this flat, it go up next. It was even 100 million. And that flat has 10 million in rent per year. How long will it take you to recover your money? 10 years is the PE ratio. PE ratio measures periods. How long will it take you to recover your money using the previous net profit? How long would it take you? Yani huongezi rent na umefunga nyumba na hata kama haikuwa na watu wawili wameoccupy, hata hizo nyumba hukodeshi. So the last previous rent ndio unatumia to gauge how long. So the last previous profit of the company. Ebu toeni simu. Ebu uliza gogo yako hapo. Just ask it. Ask your gogo hapo. What is the PE ratio of Standard Chartered Kenya? Standard Chartered Bank Kenya. Na mkifanya unainua mkono unasema there could be a price after this of 2 samosas. Zile samosa tuliambiwa Reverend will buy you 2. Unafanya haraka, nataka tukimbie. Yes? Kuja. Come. Na utatuambia hiyo top ulibuy wapi. Haya, kuja hapa. Hapa tu. What is the PE ratio somebody else of Kenya Pipeline Corporation, Kenya Pipeline? Ukifanya unainua mkono juu. Kenya Pipeline. Haya. Come my sister. Yes, come. Haya. Somebody to Google this. What is the PE ratio of Equity Bank? Somebody haraka haraka. Usitoke kwa hiyo page. Wenye kuja hapa come here huko nyuma. Haya, somebody else to do. What is the PE ratio of Kengen? Yani hata hukacurate. Yani yani Gemini ndio imekuwa advisor wako sasa. Kuja my brother, uko nyuma. Unakaa Albert Einstein hata. Haya. Msikompare. Hii si exam I am wax. It should be different. So if you copy, you are copying the wrong question. Haya. What is the PE ratio of Kenya Power? Somebody do that for me. Haraka haraka. Come. Uja bro. First of all, as you come, please give. Somebody, come bro. Somebody tell me what PE ratio is through what you understood. That na Kiswahili, talk even in your language. What did you understand what PE ratio is? Somebody? Patia huyo. Yani layman's terms, useme uli understand aje. Yes. Huyu anajua hata kuwasha mic. Ampatie. Kwanza anatumia ya reverend. Ile utarana na viatu.
Good evening. In my own understanding, price to earning ratios is how long it will take you to recover the amount you invested on something.
If you base on net profit,
Yeah.
Okay, the only discounting here is, we are talking about shares. The company may not pay you all the profit they make. So when you're doing the P ratio, you have the demeanor of a person who is buying the entire company. And all the time you are buying shares, never buy shares like you are buying shares. If you want to buy the right share, buy the share like you are buying the whole company. That if you are given the opportunity to buy all of it, there is so much value for you. So that's how you look at it. Somebody else, how you understood. In your own language. You can even use an example because I want this to sink. This side. What did you understand P ratio is? And don't tell us, either P or primary. Either physical exercise. Yes. Don't even use technical terms. Say how you understood it.
So based on how, I hope you can hear me. I've understood it. Let's say, for example, if you're to invest 3 million in a matatu, and it gives you X amount per month, the P ratio is how long will it take you to actually kujazilia for the for the period of years. So the period of years is the P ratio.
Very good. Makofi. Mimi naona ni kama kuna mtu aliwafunza vitu na wafunza bana. I think nikikuja tu na exam, fanya tu exam mara moja. Haya, unasema what you are doing and you. Wewe ulikuwa unafanya which company? Na wewe? Wewe? You? No, utamaliza. Anza huko. Huyu wa Kenya Power anaweza zima stima, wacha kuwa wa mwisho.
All right.
Haya.
Praise God. So I was handed the Kenyan. So it says the trailing price to earning ratio for Kenyan is approximately 5.7 times. This indicates that investors are willing to pay about 5.7 times the company's annual earnings per share, making the stock trade at a discount compared to the broader renewable energy sector's average PE of around 15.2 times.
Huyo hata amefanya holistic. Unajua wale watu walikuwa tunawaambia right composition about going to Nairobi. Then you actually write about even going to London. You've done very well. Very, very well. So the other ones now will only say, because to me understand the concept. Ni hii sasa my brother amesoma hapa. But sasa atasema to the number. Sasa mnaelewa what it is.
So my question, it was what is the PE ratio of Equity Bank? So Equity Bank current price to earnings, that is the PE ratio, is about 3.9 times as of June 2026. Yeah.
Very good. Ebu tuambie, what do you, in terms of a flat, what does that mean? Flat, yani kununua nyumba hapa hivi.
In terms of a flat. So for example, this is a flat. The D3 Thank you. The D3C flat, right? So I've invested in this flat. I've decided to bought some shares. So in order for me to receive the money that's supposed to be earning, however, it's going to take me like 3 times 3 points. Okay, actually, ndio ikue more, itakuwa 4 because it's a 3.9, which is a marginal area of 0.1. So it's gonna be like 4 times 4 like per annual for me to get the shares.
Mutajuaje. Very good. So it will take you 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yani umebuy flat hapa, itakutake 4 years urikave pesa ulilipa, na flat ibaki ikiwa yako. That's the thing. Let's go on.
I was looking at Kenya Pipeline Company, and the PE ratio is 22 to around 22.2.
Or do you invest there? Very good. Nyinyi mnaelewa hii mambo hata sijui mliniita kufanya nini.
So I was working with Stanchart Bank, Kenya, I believe, because there's global and Kenya. So I stayed to Bodama. So for global, that's the parent, Kenya. So it's 6.8 times to 10.2 times.
Actually, it's allowed 10. Yeah, 10 to 12 for Kenya. That's the Standard Chartered Bank. Higher. Kieni.
I was working on KPLC. It's approximately 1.21 to 1.23.
Wachaji kujifanyisha haya. This lady, tell us what you understood. Because, yeah. Tell us. Unajua nikiwa hapa and I can point to you, so be attentive.
Check.
So what I understood by that is that when you buy shares in KPLC, let's say, for example, let's call it a flat. Let's not say it. Let's call it a flat. You'll buy it at, let's say, 1.4 million today. And for you to get that 1.4 million, you just need to stay 1 year, something like that. 1-2
Very
years
good.
there.
You've said it.
Yeah.
Actually, 1 year, 1.2 years. So in these companies, basing on P ratio, which one would you buy? Which one? Which one can't you buy? Si mumejua story ya siasa hata kuniliko sasa. I can actually tell you, Kenya Power share is cheaper now than I bought when I bought. I was buying one share at 1.8 shillings. But the company was making losses. Now the person buying today is buying at 15.5 shillings. But the company is making huge profits. What do I mean? The company is now more even cheaply valued than when the share was cheap. I don't know whether I'm making sense. You buy a flat at 10 million. But the same flat is giving you a rent of 1 million. How long will it take you? Yeah? 10 years. Now you buy the same flat. Mambo imebadilika, imepakwa rangi, imewekwa tiles, nini. The same flat, you buy it at 50 million this time. It's more expensive. But it is giving you rent of 20 million a year. That is the analogy now. Of the two, either you're 10 million or you're 50 million, which one would you rather buy? That is it. Now, ya mwisho, the last formula I want to leave you with. Utakuwa unajifanyia kubuy shares. Inaitwa price to book value. Unaweza weka P of a B value. Just that. P of a B. And it applies to all companies, but more in banks. It measures this. Book value, mtu amekuja amefanya surveyor, quantity surveyor, amevalue hii flat iko hapa next at 100 million shillings. Na tumekubaliana na imewekwa kwa file. Hii flat ni 100 million. But wewe utokee na mwenyewe akuuzie na ukubali 150 million. Between wewe kununua na mwenye anauza, you who is the buyer, are you buying at a discount or a premium? A flat book value yake, yani survey amesema hii flat value yake mzuri ni 100 million. Na imewekwa kwa drawer. Wewe umekuja na umewekelea 150 na ukauziwa. Umeibuy na premium ama discount? Premium, si ndio? Na ukibuy na 70. Here 150. So what you do price to book is 150 divided by 100. What is that? 1.5. So you've bought at 50% premium. Mimi nawafunza vitu ndio hii dunia isikukalie na mahesabu. Mahesabu wanasemaga ni gumu, lakini hapo nini gumu sasa? 150 divided by 100 is 1.5. So he 0.5 is 50%. So you bought it at 50%. Higher. Who was 70? Since 70 divided by 100 is 0.7. So he's buying it 30% discount. So nataka tubadilishe kampuni. Hii nataka tufanye banks alone. Stanchart, Kenya. Absa, Kenya. Equity, Kenya. Equity Bank Group. KCB Group. Na wewe ufanye kampuni inaitwa Diamond Trust Bank. What is P over B of this company? You know, when we started investing, akukuwa na hii akuuliza swali, so we had to calculate. Sasa yenu ni hapa tu. What is P over B of those companies? Let's start that side. Acha nikusaidie na mic. Tumefanya 2 banks, but you can do for any other company.
Yeah, for the Standard Chartered Bank, the price to book ratio is 1.8 times to 2.1.
Very good. Let's say summary, I'm averaging 1.9. So what does that mean?
This means in roughly 2 years, approximately.
Price to book is not about periods now.
It's premium.
Yes.
So 80%.
90 years.
90% thereabout
of
the
premium or discount?
Premium.
So you may understand. And you are almost buying it 2 times. You are almost buying that flat at 200 million.
Yeah, so for Absa P over B is 1.44 times, meaning it is 45% premium.
Very good. Higher.
Equity Bank Group, 0.87.
Meaning?
Discounted at 13%.
Very good.
KCB Group, 0.45 times to 0.55 times.
Repeat again. I want you to hear.
So, KCB Group's price to book ratio currently sits at approximately 0.45 times to 0.55 times.
Haya. Hata ni sawa. Who's the last one?
I was doing Diamond Trust Bank. Price to book value is 0.3 times to and 0.4 times.
What do you understand by 0.4? He flat here 100 million. Unaibuy how much? Unaibuy how much? What you do with that information is up to you. Unaweza keti tuwapigia makofi. So lastly, very lastly, I want to interest you when you do about public companies, when you go home, study something called private equity fund and study something called venture capital. Hapa KU kuna wase wako na ideas mzuri sana za biashara, especially in tech. Maybe unaweza wekelea kitu kidogo tu kwa hiyo idea. Wewe msea create business na uko na percentage kwa hiyo biashara. The people who became billionaires, some of the people becoming billionaires today out of SpaceX listing. ni watu waliwekelea tu pesa yao kidogo kitambo sana. Sasa wanakuwa mabilionaires leo. People who ended up becoming billionaires out of Meta or Facebook, ni msee aliwekelea pesa kitambo. Kuna, for example, Google, kuna 2 professors walikuwa wa hawa founders. Wakawekelea, I don't know whether it was 500,000 then. Both are billionaires in dollar terms. Because waliwekelea in terms of a venture capital. Company grew, and as it grows, your value also grows. Ladies and gentlemen, there are opportunities for people to make money. Let us not think that the traditional ways of making money are the only ways that exist. Even in our own market, there are many profound opportunities out of the gap of information. And not always know, you make money out of the information gap. What you know that the market doesn't know and many more people don't know, that is what becomes your profit. So out of what you have learned today, I am hoping either now or in the very near future, some of us will make money out of the opportunity of knowing more than the majority knows, so that you can always leap forward. Otherwise, thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you. You may have your seats as we... please bring the seats. And Mheshimiwa, as we... Just where you left, on a more practical front, so you've bought the shares. You have them. How do you... the other seats coming? So, yeah. So now you have the shares, you have 100, you have 500 shares. How do you practically make money? You own the company, but how does that money help you? Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wacha tukae chini ikae TV.
All right, tumesikia swali.
Nimesikia. And I'll be very precise in questions so that we can get as many.
Okay.
So you make money out of investing in companies in 2 ways. One is income. The second one is something called capital gains. Income means dividends. When the company makes profit, they share part of that profit to you. They reserve some for growth of the company. It's called retained earnings. That's one area, dividends. But the main reason I buy shares myself in companies is not because of dividends. It is because of capital gains. For example, what I have just shared, you buy a share at an average price of 1.8, like it did in Kenya Power. The price goes up. Today it is 15.50. And it's actually after coming down a little bit because of Iran, it was 18. So meaning, if you invested, let's say, back then 1.8 million shillings, you got 1 million shares. And we're talking about 2024. The share was around 1.8. He 2024 ya juzi. So your 1 million shares would be worth how much today? 15.5 million shillings. But you've actually received dividends from 2024. And people who actually owned these shares, they've already recovered their 1.8 shillings on dividends alone.
Wow. Yeah, I bought shares in 2008 and I never went back. It was ever ready. Sahi nikisikia unaongea naona kama nilikuwa mjinga sana. Lakini I learned my lessons. Now that you are who you are today, Mheshimiwa, what can you share with us regarding your childhood that has contributed to your childhood or growing up, contributed to your current entrepreneurship choices?
Yeah. Allow me to go back to Eveready a little bit.
Okay.
When you buy shares, as I was trying to say in my presentation, always do research. Never buy shares because others are buying. If, for example, you totally went deeper, even when you are filling the application form for Eveready, I'm sure you couldn't have done it if you checked on the things that we have learned today. The reason why I've talked about a few companies here is because you should zoom into what has value. Out of the many companies listed, the reason you zero into some is because you have fundamentally researched. So that's why I hear some people bought Mumias, others bought Everready. It was not a very good experience. And I hope we can apply what we keep on learning every day, including today, to make better choices when you are buying shares. Yeah. Companies, really, because always view like you are buying a company. Ask yourself, if Merari was selling you the Everready company, forget about shares, would you have bought the company? If he was selling you the company ya kutengeneza mawe ya torch, when electricity was becoming the norm, would you have bought the company? So when you buy the shares of that company, why do we want different results? I am going to the question. I mean, like all of us here, and I am glad that this is a place I know very well out of having been from KU. More or less, we are the same, majority of us in this hall. Maybe some of you are much better than us in terms of where we came from. So part of the reason why I had two goals, as I talked about, looking for money, and if possible also, getting into a position of leadership. On money side, it was running away from poverty. No one who grows in a mud house want not to run as fast as possible from there. Secondly, is about, we could look at people around and we want that kind of life. So chasing after that, running away from poverty, but also chasing a better life out of the experiences then. Because me, I'm those kind of people who, hapa KU, where umepita high school, ulipita ukapata B+. So where jua vile utafika campus. Jua vile utalipa first sem fees. Na ujua vile utasoma. So me from niingie KU, nililipa fee yangu yote. Hata ya kuingia before help. Wenye help uchelewa. Vibarua, nini, na all that. And even before that, nikiwa high school, holiday, nachoma makaa huko kwetu Shags. Holiday zingine, nilikuwa nauza motuba hapa Thika. To raise school fees. So hiyo kitu lazima sasa ujaribu kukibia bio kiasi. So that you move to a better, safer ground. And it has also shaped now the decisions that I make in terms of investing. Yeah. But the fundamental thing that happened, ilifanyika nikiwa first year hapa KU. Nikitafuta internship, nikajipata kwa former MP. Nilikuwa naenda huko kumtoanisha. Yaani kumuonyesha mimi vijana wote wako nyuma yangu, kama unataka kura za Kiharu, ukae karibu na mimi. So unajua makomrades venye mnacheza hiyo game. So mimi nilienda ofisi yake nimebeba kabahasha ya CV. Because all the time kama sisi makomrades hiyo time, tulikuwa na CV mtu anabeba everywhere. So kuenda kumuona alikuwa meeting. Secretary akaniambia niwache CV. Na mimi siko naenda kutafuta job. As it would have it, akafikiria nilikuwa nataka job, akanipigia simu later. Kijana unataka kazi? Of course. Ilikuwa long vacation nikiwa campus first year. I started working in a stockbroking company since that day. So history yote ya shares, hata nikifungulia kina Cyrus CDS account KU, nilisoma kwa Genye Karaoke, who was our former MP. So that also has been great, both on investment front, but also in politics. He was our former MP. I went for pupillage in terms of stockbroking in his farm. I do stockbroking today, and I'm MP. Those two things are not coincidences.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, before we open it up, as a Christian, Mheshimiwa, what is your comment on prudence and giving and tithing in relation to being a steward of resources?
I'll say this practically as a Christian, not for any other purpose other than to talk to a Christian who is here. And I'm sharing my thoughts. Me, I believe there is no money that belongs to me. And there is no wealth that I have, except which I have received from the owner of all things. So once you have that perspective, money can't possess you. But also number two, money can't own you, and you cannot obsess over money. I love the process of investing and all that because we are human beings, but not to the point of money possessing you. So when you're at that level, you clearly know that you received 100 and only 10 is required to progress the actual work of the owner of even the entire 100. So giving does not then become so difficult for you. And I remember one time when I was just kungangana, and I would call my vicar at home in our church and do what I needed to do. And it would seem like somebody is doing so much, especially given this is a rural church. I don't want to go into very deep details. But I'm just trying to say, giving for me, you don't give because you are actually being compelled. You give by knowing that all you have is actually not yours. And you've become so much gum. Umepewa pesa, umepewa maji ufikishie watu pale. But mikono yako inameza maji yote. Unaweza kosa kupewa hiyo kazi ya kupeleka hiyo maji. I hope you get what I mean. So when you know that this business for me is doing so good, it's not because I'm so special, it's a blessing, then you become very humble and you freely can release as much as the owner would want you to release.
Wow, thank you. Ah. Is there anyone with a question? So let's do this, okay? Let's have you stand up. So if you have a question, stand up, so that we know how many. All right.
Check 1, 2.
Okay, good. So let's do. I think we ask all of them, and then great. Okay. So all right, please go ahead, sir. 3. So let's do you, and then her, and then we'll come to you. All right? 3. Great. Proceed.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for the session. I always enjoy watching your videos. My name is Samuel Kagwe. I am the CEO of buybiashara.com. It's in the space of mergers and acquisitions. And you are a big advocate of investing in public markets. But as per my understanding, most of this wealth that we are talking about, as you have hinted, kidogo, is made when you invest before these companies go public. And then the most wealth is usually unlocked when you actually sell the business. The wealth is not so much through profits, but when you exit the company. But now in our market, this is not a very common phenomenon. I would want to hear your thoughts. What would it take to make secondary markets a major thing, to give it the right structure? That is the thing we are attempting with Buy Biashara, but I'd appreciate your insight on that.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. What's your name? Samuel Kagwe. Thanks. All right, Rosemary, there you go.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. For me, I've learned so much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for coming. And I've never thought of shares as a space I can fit in. But I've started Googling how much would I need what's the minimum shares I can buy with KPLs, all that. And I believe that when you come next time, as you have said, then we'll have taken a step. So my question is in regards to your advice on employment versus entrepreneurship. So I've actually worked in both spaces. I'm a teacher by profession, actually a KU in this case. So we are comrades. So I've been employed for quite a number of years in the education sector, but I'm currently doing business. I run a school, of course, a community school, so to speak. When I look at what I'm doing currently, I honestly appreciate the younger years of my life when I was in employment, because through that, I learned so many skills that I'm using today to run my business. So in essence, I don't know, and is it possible? Okay, I know I'm older, but there are young people in this room. So I'm asking on my own behalf and on behalf of them. So, and then would it also be possible to be employed and to also run a business? Because actually when I began as a person, I was in employment then, but then I began, what I'm doing now when I was in employment. So what probably, I'm not saying I'm successful, but of course, I'm asking, what would you, because it's not easy for someone to start a business if they are green, they have no idea, they have no skills, maybe you can shed some light, because when I look at you as a person who I admire, you are also employed. You are a governor, number one. It's not governor, you are employed by the people of Kiharu, but you're also doing business. So I don't know, entrepreneurship, employment, and all that. Kindly shed some light. And yes, thank you.
Okay, the last one, and then we'll take a break. As he answers, then we'll come back. Okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Collins. I live around here, and I'm also, I do business. I'm a realtor here. And I just have, my question to you, sir, is you might have ideas, but where do you get investors? In the sense that you have ideas on how you can put tarmac, but you need 100 million for you to put the tarmac. Where do we get these people with 100 million? Yeah, that's basically my question. Thank you so much for the insights, and God bless you.
All right, please proceed, Mheshimiwa.
I'll be brief so that we also get another round. Samuel Kagwe, I'm glad that you are already in business. In terms of exits, public companies, let me start here. There is more money to make in our market when you are buying a listed company than when you are buying before the listing. Because it is the market that has undervalued the companies. It is not the companies that are bad, it is the market that has undervalued the companies. For example, if you check Family Bank, you'll be listing later this month. It is likely to be more valued than Equity and KCB and DTB and the rest. Because there is more value for a company outside the market nowadays than in the market. And that is why my inclination now is to buy the listed ones, because they are so cheap compared to the private ones. So exits are two ways. Exit of a public company is basically giving a sale order tomorrow or Monday. You sell your shares and you receive your money after 2 days. Because Kenya operates on something called T+2, trading day plus 2 days. Now, I understand probably the exit you are talking about is the private one. Beyond the public listed companies, the other frontier is called private equity. Private equity is where there is a gridlock in exits. And the reason why there is a challenge in exits is precisely because when you buy a private company today, let's say you bought Family Bank, the best way to exit, because it's a lot of money, even if you're selling 5%, is through public market. And it is the public market that is undervaluing companies. So where you would exit in terms of an IPO People are selling similar companies half the price. So that is the paradox, but also the opportunity. So that's why in this particular timing, if somebody told you to buy a bank that is not listed, you'd rather buy the one that is listed. The one that is listed is much cheaper than the one that is not. In terms of robust secondary markets, in fact, the reason why I talk about this everywhere I go is because our economy also can never grow until we have a very good, robust secondary market. It's not just a matter of investing, but also an issue of capital mobilization. When we have a robust capital market, you have a company, let's say, you have a manufacturing company doing mabati around the bypass. You'd literally come to the NSC and list other GEMS or the SM as an SME. So you'd raise money in the NSC instead of going to the bank to borrow money. But since our market is undervaluing companies, then companies are not incentivized to list. But it's also an opportunity for those who would want to invest in the listed companies themselves. Mwalimu, the place of employment and business. I agree with you that there are some issues that even me I learned by being in a company while I was still a student. How to handle employees, how to work with systems. I can't discount that. It's important. But I wish this can be learned through what we do before graduating is called what? Internship. I wish that can be learned through as a part of learning, not as a part of working. Because if I look at the characters who are giving examples here, they never got an opportunity to work anywhere. Zuckerberg, Elon, Google brothers, all of them, they learned by doing. They never learned by hearing and by observing. It's by doing. So that's a balance. In terms of being an employee, I agree. What I was talking about is being employed in a person's company. So my inclination is, and my